Hi guys, welcome back to Airtricity Vlogs. We're back with another video. We're reviewing the games from game week 19 in the Premier Division. We're joined with St. Pat's fan Jamie Condren and Drogheda United super fan Luke McQuillan. How are you, lads?
Sorry, boys, how are you?
All good, good stuff. And it's good to see the youth and the Irish Footy Vlogs team being used for once. There's a bit of a mix going on there, but now we have the three young lads together, so we may give it a fight. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we get going and we review the 5 games from the weekend past, and we'll kick off with the meeting of St. Pat's and UCD at Richmond Park. The match ended 2-1. Owen Doyle with the 2 goals in the 50 and the 73rd minute. And then UCD got a wee consolation goal then in the 87th minute through Alex Nolan. Me and JP were obviously we previewed this match, and I thought to myself, it could be fairly, UCD would probably struggle to keep possession, but they could possibly be defiant in defence and struggle, and Pats would struggle to break them down. Obviously, Pats they got the first goal in the second half. So maybe that was the case of that there. Jamie, you're at it. What were your overall thoughts, and were you a bit worried at half time going into the second half?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be one of them days at half time. UCD were very good in parts. I think, we all know that they do concede goals. UCD, the whole year they've been conceding goals. But on the flip side, when they have the ball, they always look threatening from time to time. So I thought, going into half time, it was 0-0. And, some of them games, you just have a feeling that nothing's going to happen for you. Like, we were going over the top all the time. I think his name is Eric Euro, centre half. Very, very good, very good in the game. Wasn't letting anything in there. I didn't think the movement from the Pats front three was good enough for the first half. But then, I don't know what it was. Obviously, second half started and we got an early goal, which really was huge for us. Because if we didn't get that goal early, I definitely could envision UCD sitting back like you're saying in the preview. But Owen Doyle got his goal, and then obviously a few minutes later, a penalty. So that made it 2-0. And once it was 2-0, it was very comfortable, I have to say. Like you're saying, UCD got a consolation goal in the last minute. Beautiful goal, actually. Great pass. I think it was Kerrigan who played in the pass. But overall, comfortable enough for a 2-1. I was never really nervous. But I think the first half performance needs to be improved in a few games. We've seen it now a few times for Pats where we don't start well enough, and against better sides, you could be going into half time 1 or 2 behind. So that's something we definitely need to improve on.
Yeah, that's it. And with UCD, we mentioned in the previous show, that they haven't really got a tank in this year, apart from the 7-1 in Derry, So I mean, they have been, especially on their own patch, in the UCD Bowl, they've been hard enough to break down, and that was the kind of the case for Pats in the first half. But the second, or the goal in the second half, like 5 minutes, as you mentioned, I think it was very, very key. Luke, your thoughts on that there? Do you think, did you think UCD, did you think they had an opportunity to get back into the match, or whenever Pats went 1-0 up, or?
Yeah, I think just the big one is just before half time. UCD have a great chance. Just literally on the last few minutes there, and Nang made a good save, and then I think the second one, I think if he goes either side of him, it's in the net and it's 1-0 at half time. But it was probably poor by the UCD player then, who followed up and probably should have done better, I think, than hitting it straight at him. But I was sort of looking at this game, like I seen the highlights, but I looked at it from when it was half time and it was 0-0, and I just said, this could be one of them nights. So for Pats again, I think, you're 0-0 at half time, and like with Pats, we've seen the season, they can fall asleep. And I think it could have taken one chance like that one just before half time to, make Pats panic. Then it's 1-0 UCD and you're back to the wall. Then you have to go at and try and get the win that they probably would be expected against UCD. But then the goal just after half time sort of gives them a bit of a breathing, and then a bit of breathing space, and then obviously the second goal then sort of kind of kills it. But then obviously UCD get a bit of a consolation towards the end, but that would have sort of worried a few people. But look, UCD are dangerous. I think I was a bit worried about UCD for them, like when they lost with Colin Whelan, but they still look dangerous in games, and they still look like they can score goals. They've got players who will score goals, and Kerrigan played a brilliant pass for that goal. So they've still got dangerous players there at UCD. So if you don't take your chances against them, you could be punished. But it's a good win for Pats, and it's important for them to start off the break with 3 points.
Yeah, and that's it. Then it moves them into fourth place, and they're 3 points ahead of Sligo. And obviously, with Sligo winning last night, it was important to get the 3 points there and kind of stay in the top four. So they're only 3 points off Derry, and 6 off Dundalk in second place. So there's they're definitely in the European charge as such, and there's you wouldn't know, they could if the teams above them start slipping up, they could end up in a title race, but we don't know what will happen there.
Optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic, but sure, we'll see what happens. UCD, obviously, you're sitting in 10th place, 2 points off Harps, and to be honest, we'll get the Harps, but there's a chance UCD will catch Harps there. But we'll get into that when we come to it. On to the second match it was the Dublin Derby in Derry Park, where Bows were 1-0 winners, over Shelbourne. Dawson Devoy with the goal. A feisty Dublin Derby. What I heard, looked at the highlights as well. They both sides kind of seem to be a bit kind of sloppy and a bit kind of lethargic, you could say. But I think Bows kind of was sharper, and they took part of they took advantage of the sloppy play from Shels to get the game's only goal, and it was a fairly decent strike from Dawson Devoy from the edge of the area. So Bows will be fairly happy. They've been very, very inconsistent this year. That one moves them up to 6th place, and they're only 2 points off Sligo and stuff. So I mean, they'll be happy enough that there. With Shels, it was a chance for Shels to get a wee bit of ground on Bows. They still sit in 7th on 24, having lost their last 2 after 1 and 3 on the bounce. So I'm sure Bows fans will be happy enough. When the goal went in, myself, I thought, it's one of them for Bows. They'll end up, giving away the 3 points in the second half. But they were lucky enough, and they held on for the goal, or held on for 3 points in the win. Your thoughts on that there, Luke?
Yeah, I do think they were lucky towards the end. Shels hitting the crossbar from about 5 yards out, that's the sort of moment they switched off. Like they've done in the last, this season, when they go 1-0 up, they do switch off. They did, and they got away with one. I think it's a great win for them, to be honest, and it's a good goal. I do think the keeper kind of has to do better. It's a good bit out, and it's to the side he dived as well. He has to do better, I think. I think he has to do better. But again, I'm not taking away from Dawson Devoy. It's a good goal, and again, I honestly think he's Ball's biggest threat. I even watched him when he played against Drogheda, and I said every time he got on the ball, I was worried. Been called up with the Irish under 21s, and that he's just a really, really good player. You can't really give him that sort of space out there either, because he will, get a shot on. I do think the keeper has to dive. I do think the keeper has to do a bit better though, but it's a great win for Bows, and Shels will feel disappointed that they didn't even nick a point towards the end. The keeper made a decent save as well, and obviously they hit the crossbar. But the red card as well, I don't. People saying, I don't know if it's a red card, to be honest. I think last man with Jordan Doherty on the other side of him. I don't know if it's last man. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a tough one to call, but the red card obviously sort of give Shels a bit of a boost and that. But in the end, it's a good win for Bows, and they hold on. So that'll give them confidence as well, that look, we can hold on to these sort of results. You know what I mean? It's a Dublin derby. You're gonna be under pressure and that, and they sort of soak that up. And fair play to Bows. It's a big 3 points for them. So they'll just want to keep pushing forward now and to the next game.
Yeah, and I think the great character shown by Bows has normally been against Bows. The team's shown character. To get an equaliser or even a winner. Bows showed great character. Obviously, you mentioned the send off there. Kieran Kelly was sent off on 54 minutes, so they done well. Although they did sit in and kind of defend for their lives, they done well to hold on to the 3 points, and I think it's a very, very important 3 points for them. Hopefully they can get them some form together. Your thoughts on that there, Jimmy?
Yeah, I agree with what Luke said. It was a cagey game. You could tell, it was only going to take a moment of magic from either side to win it. And ultimately, I think when you look at the two squads, they're very similar. Dawson Devoy really is the X factor between the two of them, in my opinion. And it is what Shels lack. They lack that really, I don't know, flair player, I guess you call him, to win a game. And I thought the boy was superb. It was one of the best games he's played all year. And like Luke was saying as well, you know, when they went down to 10 men, it's very rare that you can compliment Bohs for being like gritty and being able to, you know, grind out a result. And I know Shelbourne probably missed a few chances, but, you know, it still remains. Ty Grind coming back in goal, and he got his clean sheet, which I'm sure he'll be really impressed with. A lot of the Bohs fans definitely would have been worried when they saw Talbot out injured for a while. So that will hopefully ease their concerns for a few weeks. But even outside of that, you know, Keatlong needed that win in front of a packed Daleyman Park. I'm sure the atmosphere was amazing, and you just feel if Shell's got one over Bohs, you know, pressure starts to mount. And now, you know, you have the complete other side of it. You know, Bohs are bringing in 3 new players. They're already been announced. So come July 1st, they can already have good momentum going into July 1st. You add in these 3 new boys, and then suddenly, you know, the atmosphere around the club has completely changed. So it just shows you how fast, you know, things move in this league, and we'll see now in a few weeks where Bohs are.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we'll move on to the big top of the table clash at Oriel Park, where Dundalk beat Shamrock Rovers 1-0. It was a really, really well taken goal by Robbie Benson. 10 minutes from time was a really, really great cross from Lewis McCarry. You know, and to pick out Benson, and you know, it's another, like, you know, you could say it's a turning point in the season. I mean, we were chatting, me and JP were chatting in the preview show. You know, we had you know, Shamrock Rovers won here. You could possibly say, you know, that's lights out in the title race, you know, but that there has opened it up now, especially with Dundalk having a game in hand. You know, they're 5 points off. You know, if they won that game in hand, there's a chance they could, you know, pop or even make it more interesting, even for the greatness of the league. You'd like to see that. You know, I think it was a result that Dundalk, you know, deserved. Really, they dominated the possession. I watched this one, you know, because obviously Harps were playing Saturday night, and I think they dominated possession, and you know, they deserved the win. Obviously, Jack Byrne and Graham Burke were missing for Shamrock Rovers, so I think that did have a bit of an impact. You know, considering their you know, influence so far, you know, in the season. So yeah, no, it was a good entertaining watch, and I think, you know, Dundalk will be happy enough. So we have a, you know, a statement one. You know, the final whistle blew. You know, they were celebrating like they'd won the league. You know, they kind of had you know, they've won, I think it's 5 in the bounce now, Dundalk. You know, so they're in flying form, and they were really happy with the win, and that one, you know, puts applies the pressure onto Shamrock Rovers now. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that there, and the noisy neighbours, Luke?
You know, I think it's brilliant for them. Honestly, I think they've turned it around, like from the start of the season, where they were going to few games on a draws, and then they lost to Drogheda, and then they, you know, were starting to drop points and look a bit uneasy. But 5 wins on the bounce in this league is a very tough thing to do. Very, very tough thing to do, and they've bet some good. Look, every team is, you know, is a hard game in this league, but they've bet some really good teams in there as well. In the lead up to that, so, you know, it's a big win for them again. Like, again, it does sort of open it up. And I said just before the break, I think Dundalk actually could be in a title race. Will they have the squad over the whole season to do it? I don't think so, but they're in it. Do you know what I mean? They're there. They'll be thereabouts, I think, as well. So I don't see them going on and actually winning the league, but they're going to give Shamrock Rovers a fright, and they did there on Friday night. It's a big win, and again, the goal is just really, really good. Like, it's Lewis McCarry, who I've been very impressed with, and you know, it's a great cross. It's inch perfect. You know what I mean? He couldn't have put a better cross in, and it fell perfectly for the goal. So it's a good win for them, and looked like a great atmosphere in Oriel. You know, I think Stevie O'Donnell's really making Oriel a fortress. Can't remember the last time they've lost there, and you know, Shamrock Rovers are going to be disappointed, to be honest, because they've only won 1 in the last 3 games. Like, you know, it's not good it's not great for them, but you know, all good teams turn it around, and will they turn around? I reckon they will.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, I mean, I think it's a big point. Considering obviously that's ground on Derry made there too, with Derry drawn, like, you know, and they've a 3-point gap there. Obviously Derry have kind of dropped out, really. You could say, in the past few weeks. I think they have 1 and 8 or whatever. But yeah, your thoughts on that there, Jamie? Obviously, you know, I think it's, you know, midway point for the season. It's a big chance. There was a big chance for Dundalk to pick up the points, and they done that, and now, you know, it's making things more interesting, definitely.
Yeah, it's game on, isn't it? Like, it really is starting to heat up now. I have to say, I didn't really vision this 5 or 6 games ago, but Dundalk have been a credit to everyone that is in that club. They've been absolutely superb. That defence, especially, I think at the start of the season, me personally, anyway, I thought defence would have been the weak point of that Dundalk side, but
Yeah.
they've been superb. Every single one of them, even the likes of Sam Bowen, who maybe didn't have the best year last year. Whenever he comes in, he's been very good. Lewis McCarry, like you're saying, Luke. Andy Boyle, all these players that
Mark Connolly is class.
he's another one. Yeah, even Darrell Lee, all these players that there was questions in front of them going into this year. They've all been absolutely amazing, and it's a credit to Stevie and it's a credit to themselves. It's the defence that's really has them in this position. And I think now over the last few weeks, the attack and the midfield starting to gel together now, and it really is starting to make a very, very scary side for anyone to come across. Like if you look at that Dundalk side and you don't see any weaknesses, and let's not get me wrong, Rovers obviously missing Byrne and Burke. They're 2 huge losses, and they probably would have been the players that Rovers would look to break down that defence. But Rovers still have a huge squad filled with quality. The likes of Danny Mandry, the likes of Dylan Watts, and for a 90-minute game against the champions, they really did limit them to very few chances. And I have to say, like I was saying, it's a credit to all of them. And if they can keep this up, like you're saying, Luke, 5 wins in a row is not hard. It is not easy to do in the slightest. If they can get another 2 or 3 wins here with that game in hand as well, Rovers will be very, very worried. And I think, like you're saying, Rovers have a few hard games coming up too. If they don't fix this form out, I can see a scenario where maybe Dundalk even leapfrog them now in the next few weeks, which would be completely off the cards a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's good. As I said already, it'll be good for the greatness of the league. You don't want to see one team running away with it, So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, our teams aren't involved in it at the minute, so it'll be definitely interesting to watch and one to keep an eye on. We'll move on to the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium where Derry City drew with Drogheda. It's 5 straight matches without a win for Derry. And I think they haven't won. Five straight matches on in the Brandywell without a win. I think they haven't won in 8 matches, as far as I'm aware. And they've drawn the last 2. One against Harps and then obviously Drogheda. Obviously Derry getting ahead in the match through Matty Smith. It was a ball into the box and they forced home really. They had a few chances before that, Will Patchen and a few volleys and so on, but. It was an equaliser from Dean Williams, a stupid penalty to give away, and there was Derry fans saying, it's that's not a penalty. I don't know what they were watching, to be quite honest. It was just a stupid penalty to give away from Paddy McElhaney. The barge, he just barged into the back of Ryan Brennan, sorry, and it was definitely a penalty, and obviously Dean Williams then stepped up then to tuck away the equaliser, and it's tough to the season. Obviously Derry they've dropped really, haven't they, in the past few weeks. I think it was something to do with the change of system there, and Cameron Dummigan was injured and so on. There's different reasons on why the system was changed. Although JP tells me that it was changed before they started losing. I don't know. Worrying times for Derry. It's as Keith mentioned in the group the last day. It's actually funny that they're still in 3rd place, having not won in 8. Jamie, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it when I heard it was 8 games. Their last win was a 4-0 win against Pats in Richmond Park, and I remember watching that game thinking, this is one of the best performances by a League of Ireland side in Richmond Park ever, and it just is crazy. I don't think anyone has the real answer, for being honest. Like you're saying, JP was talking about the change of system happening before the losses. So I don't know what's going on. Cameron Dummigan's been a key player. I think Kieran Harkin, I know he got injured early on in the season, but the fact that him and Dummigan are both out at the minute, it leaves them maybe without
as well.
Yeah, it leaves them maybe without that 6. I'd say that deep midfielder that really would protect the back 5 or the back 4. So I think that's definitely an issue that they're maybe facing a little bit more. But with that said, they still have a lot of good players, and they definitely still are creating enough chances to win games. It's just not clicking for them at the minute, and eventually it will click. Let's be real. They're a good side filled with quality. But if I was a Derry fan, I'd be getting a bit anxious now. You see it all the time where you have your 3 or 4 game blips, but 8 games is a long time, and I think it's a bit of a reality check, because maybe people were getting a bit carried away with Derry at the start of the year, and it takes a few years to build consistency. Like, people talk about one-off games, like, to have 36 games that you're performing at your peak, it's impossible. And not even Rovers have done it over the past few years, which is, it really shows you how hard it is to do. As for Drogheda, I'm sure, Luke, you're very happy with the point. I agree with you. It was definitely a penalty. Stupid from McElhenney. I thought great penalty from Dean Williams. And once, obviously, Drogheda scored, they were superb at holding on to the draw. So overall, Drogheda will be very happy with the point. Derry need to get that win sooner rather than later, or else, Pats and Sligo will be creeping up behind them. But yeah, overall, a good game.
Yeah, and Derry have UCD next, so there's possibly a chance to get back up on the horse. But to be honest, I expect them to to go back out, as JP mentioned, in the preview, that they had a few weeks to get together and kind of sort out the problems that were occurring in the matches. But obviously they didn't sort that out, and they've drawn again. So yeah, Luke, on the sides of Drogheda, another precious point. You're 10 points clear ahead of my beloved Harps, and yeah, I'm sure you're fairly happy enough. You're only 3 points off Shelbourne in 7th place. I wouldn't be looking below us now at all. I'd be looking, I think the only way is up for Drogheda. It's another precious point in the road, and yeah, I'm sure you're really happy.
Yeah, I nearly got kicked out of a hotel in New York. I'd say there was a few noise complaints anyways, but look, it's a good point, you know what I mean? And overall in the game, first half, well, look, going into this game, Drogheda, 2 big losses. Like, let's get that out of the way first. Sam Long is, in my opinion now, it's my biased opinion, he's been the best goalkeeper between himself and Shepherd, honestly, this season. The two of them have been the 2 best keepers in the league, I thought. Sam Long has, got us so many points this season, and he's a loss. And so is Sean Rowan as well. Like, early on, he was arguably Drogheda's best player, and then, Sam had this amazing patch of form as well. So the two of them have been excellent for Drogheda, and they will be losses. So we've, got to 2 lads playing centre half who've probably not played centre half this season so far. I think Andrew Quinn is a natural centre half, but he hasn't really played. He played a few games there, but he's been more playing right back. So like Cowan had a bit of a knock as well. So it's tough. And then we've Evan Weir, who's naturally a left back playing centre half, and has been unbelievable. But my man of the match last game was Darren Nugent, who had an excellent game, and like he was just everywhere and winning everything, and was finding his passes, and he just had a really, really good controlled performance in the midfield, and kept Patchen very quiet in that second half. Patchen had a few chances in the first half, but apart from that, like, he kept him very quiet, which was very pleasing. And then I think the back four done well on McGonigal as well, and Matty Smith obviously got the goal and that. But overall, I think the point is fair. I do think Drogheda in the second half were a lot better. They looked a lot better when Foley came on, and Adam Foley, and also when Darren Markey came back on as well. Like, when the two of them came on, it was a bit of a difference, a bit more creativity. And then obviously, I think there's a chance Dean Williams has just before we score that he should have scored. I do think. I think he let it run too much, and then he sort of threw the leg at it. He was unlucky, but probably should have scored it. But he's been excellent, you know what I mean? Excellent. And to get another goal, I know it was a penalty and that, but I do think it was a penalty all day, to be honest. I think the passing behind by Markey is brilliant, and then Foley gets a cross in. But I think the centre half for the defender for Derry, I know it was Joe Thompson, but he was sort of slotted in there. Should have done better. He headed it right across the goal. Like, it's very, very, it's really, really poor. You know what I mean? It's a really poor clearance, and it just sort of falls to Brennan, who looks like he's going to take it down, and McElhenney obviously comes through the back of him. Penalty. You know what I mean? It is a penalty. I don't really think that the two defenders on Brennan. You know what I mean? It would have been a good goal if he had taken it down and scored it. Like, so I don't really think he was in a lot of I don't think McElhenney had to do that. You know what I mean? I think he should have probably ran around them and try and get a clearance on it. You know what I mean? Because it probably could have been. It was dropping. You know what I mean? It was bouncing. Could have got a leg in there. You know what I mean? Get the ball away. Like, but he comes through the back of him. And then Williams steps up and scores. It's a good point for Drogheda. You know what I mean? It's going into the game. When you've got 2 losses, like, we obviously can't bring players in now until July. So we've got to replace the players that we've lost, the two lads. So they're two losses, and they're two great players who have great futures ahead. Of course, it would have been great to have obviously keeping them until the end of the season, because they've been big pluses to Drogheda. But it's a good point, and it shows the resilience in the squad this season. That when the Ducks are down, we get it. We try and get results, and they're 4 games unbeaten as well now, which is always good, because we went on that 6-game unbeaten run. I think then we were bet to Sligo, I think it was, and then obviously we went on a bit of a few games without a win, lost to Dundalk, Pats, Sligo, you know what I mean, and then to go 4 games unbeaten again is good. So hopefully we can carry on that now and keep picking up points, because that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's it. I think that you have to be looking up really if you're 10 points clear of the team below you, So yeah, hopefully for your sake and Drogheda's sake, they'll keep going. There was you could say a claim down the other end in the final minute of the stoppage time. They shot. He struck he made contact with a Drogheda defender. Referee turned the protest down, and now I did hear from a lot of Derry fans who were not happy with the performance from referee Alan Patchell. Your thoughts on that there, Luke? I it was a penalty, to be quite honest. The angle I seen it. But yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, look, I can see why people think it's a penalty. I've seen them given. Definitely seen them given. I'd like to see. I've only really seen one angle, and that's from the highlights. So I can't really, I think there doesn't look to be contact on the video of the highlights, but I think there might be other videos that you will see contact. So maybe there is. So if there is contact, I think it's a penalty. You know what I mean? But I would have liked to have seen it, a few times to make a decision. But the referee, they've only got one. Like, it's obviously, I can see why the Derry fans are frustrated, though. I can see why they're frustrated. But again, I don't really think the referee's had a poor performance in the game. He had a few decisions to make. There was a few challenges that went in that he missed, that probably could have been yellow cards, and he did miss a few of them. But he had a few decisions to make in the game. Overall, maybe he did miss a penalty towards the end of the game for Derry, but for myself, I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah, fair enough. And some weeks it goes against you, and some weeks it'll go for you. So yeah, no.
I think that's it. I think that's it well, because I think a different referee might have given that decision, and then, I think there's definitely a lot of inconsistency. You know what I mean? Because maybe that would have been a penalty on a different game. You know what I mean? And and then for this game it wasn't. And maybe Ryan Brennan might not have got that penalty in one game. And you know what I mean? I think that's why there is a bit lack of consistency with the decisions and that. But look, what can you do about it?
That's it. You'll take the points, and you'll be happy enough for that 10-point margin over ourselves. Speaking of Harps, we'll move on to the last match. Where Aidan Keena just ripped the piss for the Harps again. Harps were.
What happened, Dush? What happened?
Oh, Jesus, don't even ask me about it. Sligo 3-0 winners over Harps last night in the Northwest Derby. John Russell's first match as permanent Sligo manager, and he got it underway in an ideal fashion, you could say. So off Harps with ease. 3 minutes inside, and Aidan Keena gets a shot from the edge of the box and beats McGinley. The disastrous start. 4 minutes later, ball head over the top. Carlos Sullivan nips in. McGinley should have had it, to be quite honest. He nips in and he just takes it around McGinley, and it's 2-0, and you could possibly say it's game over at that stage there. I couldn't really see Harps getting back into the match, really. If you have to show great character if they were to do that. It's a good win for Sligo. They returned to 5th spot, and they're 2 points ahead of Bows with a game extra, I think, or an extra game played. So yeah, they were without Greg Bulger, and they seemed to do well. Now, I don't think Sligo, to be honest, were amazing. It was just Harps were fairly, very poor. That's really, really worrying for Harps. It's 4 wins in 32 matches, and 13 goals and 15 matches, I think it is, or something. It's not very good, and it's always been a problem for Harps, kind of with the loss of Tunde last year. The struggle where the goals were going to come for. Very, very, very poor night in Sligo for ourselves, but it's only one match, and as I mentioned already, there's 10 points between ourselves in Drogheda, I don't think we need to be worrying about that for now. I think we need to be more worried about UCD, beneath us, because we've seen, where they can get a point from. Yeah, Jamie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not the best night for you, Ush, last night. I'm sure you weren't driving back to Donegal happy, man, but sure. Um, I have to say, I did think I saw this one coming. I think after the result against Derry, Russell was probably going to end up bringing that form into this game. And like you're saying, Sligo probably weren't the best. They did enough to win the game, and that's all that matters. It was a good fashion, obviously, a big win that will get the fans on side, definitely. From a Harps perspective, though, obviously you know more about this than me, Ush, but like, it just seems like they're out of ideas in some games. They haven't really got anything to do. They're just sort of running around like headless chickens a little bit, I have to say. Um, you know, we all know Hearts haven't got tons of quality in the side, but as a team like Hearts, every sign you have to make has to really be perfect, and that just hasn't been the case this year. Obviously, once again, you know more than me, but when I saw Yo-Yo Maddie coming to Harps, I have to say I was pretty excited. I thought it was a great move for him to get his career back on track, and by all accounts, he just hasn't clicked at all, and he just really
One
hasn't
goal.
suited them at all. Yeah, so that's probably a summary of how the whole Harp season have went. They've really just not clicked at all this year, which is unusual for an Ollie Horgan side because they're built on chemistry. They've never had the quality, but they've always played as a team, and maybe it just isn't at the same level this year. But don't take anything away from Sligo. To beat Harps 3-0, it takes a lot of effort, and it's brilliant for Sligo if they can bring this form into Europe now. And I'm sure after the disappointment last year in Europe, they'll be wanting to come into this game against Bala Town in good momentum. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I think everyone's happy with John Russell so far.
Yeah, no, and best of luck. He's been a good servant to Sligo. I think he deserves all the praise he can get, and hopefully it all works out from that one there. It puts the pressure on Pats, and they're 3 points off Pats now, and they push for Europe. I think it was an important one for Sligo, Luke.
Yeah, I was just following it on the phone. I've seen the goal. I think it was Keena's goal, the first one. I was on my way home. I was in the airport and I just seen bang 1-0, 2-0 after 8 minutes, and I was like, "What's the story there?" Like, I think it sort of reminds me of when we played them. We were 2-0 down after 5 minutes, which was madness. But like, Sligo, in fairness to them, like it's a good win. You know what I mean? Overall, Harps were going to be disappointed, I think, because after 8, you need to sort of, when you're playing against, I say, the teams that are above you in the league, you've got to stay in the game. And to give up 2 goals in 8 minutes, it just gives a mountain to climb. You know what I mean? Because you've got to get back in the game, like, and you don't really give yourself much of a chance. So you've got to be on it from the very start, like, and not give away stupid chances. So yeah, like, it's a good win for Sligo. Disappointment for Harps. Sligo now have faced us now on Friday night, which will be a tough game for us. Like, but they're going to be going in with confidence, and that should set up to be a good game. So good 3 points for Sligo.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's a bit annoying, like, for Harps, like, and I don't want to get into a big rant here because this
Go on, rant away. Go on.
No, it's just, surely, I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on this, lads, but surely, like, four games in 32, isn't, listen, it's not good enough. Surely, if I was a different manager, they'd be, definitely under pressure. I think, to be honest, I've been a big fan of Ollie, and yeah, I think, I'm not happy at the minute, to be quite honest. What are your thoughts on that there? Surely 4 games in 32 is poor, surely.
Yeah, it's very poor. By all accounts, I can see it's very frustrating from a Harps point of view. But there's more, the structure more than me, but for me, the recruitment just hasn't clicked, and it's such a big thing for Harps. They lose their best players every year, like Tunde, and they just haven't replaced them properly this year. But like I said when I was talking about this game in particular, they just don't seem to be as good of a unit as they were in previous years. So I don't know who that falls upon. Of course, some of it has to go to Ollie Horgan. Don't get me wrong, but it's a weird one. It really is. I don't really know how to judge Hearts. They're always a an unusual team in contrast to the rest of the league, because it's just so hard to, like bring players up to the Paddy Buffet and to build a squad that can be competitive. And to be fair, Ollie Hogan's done it very well over the last few years. But with all that said, Ush, I think Ollie Hogan probably would have taken the relegation playoff if you offered it to him at the start of the year. So, it all comes in, swings and roundabouts, as they say. But we'll see how it ends up. And, obviously, more than me as a Harps fan. So, fire ahead.
With Ollie, he's always saying that. He's always saying, "Oh, we'll take a playoff."
Yeah.
Just being kind of pessimistic. Luke, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a difference to the Harps side this year than the last few years. Like, I think the last year's Harps squad is quality-wise is probably the best they've had in a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this year, I think there's definitely obviously there's a lack of quality, but there is a lack of fight. There's a lack of character, and they just don't seem to really. How do you put it? There just seems to be a lack of fight, and they just lack determination. And I would have always said about Finn Harps over the under Ollie Horgan that you're always going to get a team who's going to fight for every ball, and they'll go for every ball and every second ball, and they're a tough team to beat always. But this year there just seems to be something different that. I don't know, maybe something's gone wrong, with the amount of players that Ollie lost and the quality that he lost. Did he recruit in the right way this year? I don't think so, because, you have a squad there who don't look like they're up for the fight. And, I think when you're yourself, you'll know best. You'll always know probably a Harps side that fights for everything, and it just doesn't seem to be like that this year.
Yeah, that's a shame, but hopefully, we might get a few results here and there. We play Shells soon. We play Shells soon, so yeah, guaranteed.
They get 3 points anyways.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat on Friday. You better not start on Friday now.
Guaranteed 3 points. The Harps have a couple matches, tough matches coming up, Pats and Shamrock Rovers before they meet Shells. So yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not gonna give up yet. But yeah, it's not the best result in a Northwest Derby. I think the players will be up for it, especially after that spirited performance against Derry in the Brandywell, which they should have won. They definitely should have won. But that's football. That's what it is. But yeah, that's basically it, lads. Thanks for coming on. Like the video if you enjoyed, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, just do subscribe. It helps that channel to grow. Keep the show on the road, and we'll be back with previews for game week 20 coming up during the week. So yeah, cheers lads for coming on.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers.